Have you ever wondered if it is possible in this day and age to create a human hybrid capable of feeling and displaying the same emotions as we do, while possessing better biological factors? Hi, today I'm going to talk briefly about a 2016 sci-fi movie called Morgan. Outside of the city, American bioengineering scientists are conducting experiments with which they have created a semblance of a human being capable of evolving at an incredible rate. But one day there was an incident in the laboratory, in the aftermath of which one of the employees was injured. So the lab decided to clean up this conflict quietly and called in a private accident expert, Lee Weathers. And this unemotional lady in a suit meets Ted Breener, one of the employees, upon arrival. In her room, she calls her supervisor for details of her operation. She is also visited by Amy, a neuropsychologist from the lab. When Lee comes downstairs, she meets Skip, the kitchen supervisor. Immediately, Ted shows up and takes Lee to see Linda and Kathy, who has been affected by their project. She tells Lee that Morgan was glowing with happiness until she was locked up, and then her aggression began. She learns from Simon Siegler, one of the founders of the project, that Morgan is the third attempt to create a hybrid that will have fast developmental speed and sophisticated reactions. And the main impetus for the attack on Kathy was the management's ban on continuing Dr. Amy Mentzer's development program and the requirement to temporarily not release Morgan. Ollie had already come to make contact with the human hybrid herself, and Morgan admitted she was very sorry about what had happened, and wouldn't want it to ever happen again. And Morgan lets out a tear because Ollie didn't put her hand to the glass. At an evening dinner, the real reason Amy Mentzer was banned from the project is revealed. One day she was able to afford to take Morgan out into the woods, outside the lab deep into the night. Lee decided to watch Morgan's very emotions, but there was a sound coming from the street. It turned out to be Skip, who was relaxing to music. And while the couple were talking, Amy came over to Morgan, and after a lot of talking, Morgan began to remember going into the woods with her and finding a wounded deer, and Morgan's unexpected reaction to that was to snap its neck. The next day, Dr. Shapira, an expert in artificial intelligence, arrives at the lab and wants to understand Morgan's complex mechanism and insists that she not talk to the hybrid through the glass, as he needs to make contact. However, during the course of the conversation, Shapiro was extremely aggressive and subsequently became enraged at Morgan, and she chewed his throat. She then deftly got rid of the lab assistant and ran off, with Lee following her with a tranquilizer gun. Morgan made her way outside and began to enjoy nature as she had the first time, just as Amy immediately appeared. But Lee hit her with the tranquilizer and the hybrid only woke up tied up already in the lab, where there was a dispute between the scientists, and Dr. Ziegler is asked to leave for the apartment complex, because tomorrow a special group will come here and take the project and all the documents. Morgan begs not to, but is injected to make her sleepy. And Darren should have administered the last injection, but he refused. Then Lee wanted to do it herself, but the scientists wouldn't let her do it. When Morgan woke up, Darren promised her that everything would be okay, but she immediately got rid of him by injecting him in the heart and taking several shots at Ted. She immediately explained her position to Lee that she really didn't have any friends here except Amy, and now she feels empowered, so she's entitled to make her own decisions. After the murder on the street, Morgan gave the gun to Amy and headed for her mother, who was already recording a video about the failure of her project. Suddenly Morgan walks into her room and kisses her mother on the forehead and cuts off her oxygen supply. By this time, Lee had already gotten out of the lab and found Siegler hanging, as well as her mother. And she got into a fight with Morgan in the hallway, in which they fell out the window and Morgan managed to get up and leave with Amy. Lee headed after them, but in the woods Morgan managed to run into a tree. So Skip picks her up, and Morgan and Amy have already arrived at their longtime dream lake, and Morgan is enjoying these beautiful views that she had only been told about in words. A shot rang out in the woods from Lee, who decided to lure Morgan out this way. So after a while she shows up and attacks Lee, and in the course of the fight Morgan sticks it on a log, just like the same deer in the walk with Amy, but this time it just ran away. On the pier, Amy asked her to stop, as Lee immediately appeared and managed to drown Morgan, and then she gratuitously kills Amy, as well as Skip at the car, who was helping her. That same day, the task force took the bodies away, and the founders of these labs discussed that this project was a dead end, because it had to be eliminated due to extreme emotional instability on Morgan's part. And Lee makes the same move that Morgan did before killing Shapiro, which gives us to understand that Lee is one of the successful examples of this experiment. Support the channel by subscribing, like, and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.